Summerfest kicks off on September 2nd, and unlike years past, this time the festival will be spread out through 3 weekends in the month. And joining me today is Chicago's own Chance, the rapper. Chance, thank you so much for making time for us today. And of course, you're headlining, right, for Summerfest 2021, which is crazy because this is your first performance since the pandemic started. I mean, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's awesome. To be honest, I love being on stage. I love performing. I love Milwaukee, to be honest, and it's just cool. It's cool that also you guys like won the championship this past year. So
oh, you
it's
know
just
that
like,
thing.
No, it's just a cool thing, like to be in you guys' presence. So it's awesome that we're kicking off with this. You know, I spent the last year doing a lot of film work, you know, and like in bridging music with film, filming different virtual concerts and stuff. And so, you know, it's a major difference though when you have like real people, and have that energy and stuff. So I'm very excited.
I mean, was it a tough decision for you coming back to in-person performance?
You know, I trust that, you know, that because Summerfest has like, you know, been around for so long that they have the infrastructure and like the protocol in place to be safe. But yeah, it's definitely a little, you know, just like, you know, going out, period, you know. I'm vaccinated and stuff and I'll be rocking the mask, but it's still like, you know, you just don't, you don't always know. So I'm glad I you know, I had a couple of talks with the promoters and the folks over there, and it sounds like, you know, that they're being very cautious. So it's, I'm excited.
What can fans expect from your show here in Milwaukee?
A lot of like catharsis, to be honest. Like it's such a, like you said, it's been a long time since I got to be on stage in front of a large scale. Well, being honest, I did do like a surprise set like about a month ago in LA at Sophie Stadium, but you know, I haven't like, you know, had that, you know, that headliner feel of just like having like a full scale show, having the whole band, having the choir, having, you know, so we put together a special show because it's been so long. So they can expect everything you expect from a Chance show and maybe a little bit extra.
There we go. And so when you think of Chance's music, right, when you think of the type of music that you put out, you think Chicago funk, you think trumpets, you think, you know, certain artists coming together. How would you describe your own music?
How would I describe my own music? It's very personal. I would say very personal to me, and I like to think of myself as you know, I have sad songs, but I feel like I try to uplift people with my music. I feel like, you know, I'm obviously, like you said, inspired by, you know, Chicago gospel, Chicago juke music, you know, Chicago blues and jazz, and you know, Chicago's just a culturally rich city, and so I have a lot of influences. Obviously Kanye and Common and Lupe, but I'm just me. I don't know. I sound like Chance the Rapper.
Yeah, and absolutely kind of flows throughout your entire music that we've heard. So when it comes to personal, right? You said your music is very personal to you. You're a father of two. You're a husband. You share all their pictures. You kind of are out there, right, publicly, which sometimes we don't see a lot from artists. But how has that shaped you into the musician that you are today?
You know, family is, you know, the closest thing to you. You know, the people that you don't choose, but you're blessed with in your life. And, you know, yeah, it's the best thing in the world. It's hard not to bleed over into my music, just like, you know, my disposition is that of a dad, of a young black dad, of, you know, a young black dad in the music industry. And it's like all of those things, you know, influence each other. And, you know, I feel like I've made my best music. You know, I made Coloring Book when I was right after we had Kinsley, and who's my oldest daughter. She turned 6 in 2 weeks. And, you know, it really shaped like not just my view on how to make music and how to compartmentalize my life and put time in certain spaces, but also like, you know, taught me how to, you know, live as like a real person and how to be responsible, you know, a
Right.
lot more responsible
They're
than I
watching your
was.
every move
Yeah.
too. I'm sure they
No,
are.
straight up.
And next question I have for you here. You talked about filmmaking, right? So Magnificent Coloring World recently came out in
Yeah.
AMC theaters,
Yeah.
and that just brings me back to 2016 at Sox Stadium when you had
Oh, yeah.
Magnificent Coloring Day.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
You were
That
there?
was insane. Yeah, I was there. Of course I was there. And it was such a great time, I think, for the city of Chicago. You brought so many artists out. So bringing this concert, right? For those who don't know, the movie is based on a concert that you held for your day ones. So how does that make you feel that you're able to bring together just like this group of people that they don't even know each other, but they're there for one single common thing?
That's my favorite thing about, you know, going to the movies. You know, I'm a cinephile. I'm a huge movie fan. I always just, you know, connected with movies, but specifically the experience of going to see a movie in the theaters. It's you know, it's a communal space where, like you said, a bunch of strangers are coming together that don't know each other, but are gonna enjoy this like live happening of, you know, of new information, whether it's a new movie or going to a concert. And, you know, we were kind of like separated from that because of the pandemic. And, you know, this movie is something that like you said, I filmed it around the same time as that festival and just put together like a really special set and designed like a literal like cool like staging set for the concert. And then I just kind of like put it to the side because I didn't really know how to edit. And, you know, the pandemic gave me the space and the opportunity to like put together you know, a movie that should be enjoyed how movies are supposed to be enjoyed, which is, you know, in the theater together.
Yeah. So that filmmaking journey, how has that been for you?
It's been amazing. Like I really got, you know, a lot more comfortable with filming and with directing in like around July of last year. You know, I shot this movie a long time ago, and at the time it was directed by Jake Schreier. But you know, it took me some time to like, you know, fully get to a confident enough space to say, okay, I'll run the shoot. And it's the coolest thing in the world, you know. Like I said, I like movies a lot, so you know, like I'm very into lighting, I'm very into cinematography, I'm very into acting, I'm very into screenwriting, and the director kind of like is at the helm of all those things, and you know is you know translating that script or translating that idea, and to be the person that gets to make the idea, to get to be the person that's paying for the idea, so I don't really tell myself no that often, but to also be on the ground and like controlling
It's a
it.
different
like,
perspective.
It's just it's the most freeing. It's a great feeling of just, you know.
And I think
being
you
in it.
posted somewhere too that this isn't, you know, done for you, that you're going to keep on this filmmaking journey. Is that so?
Oh yeah. Oh
What's
yeah.
next?
I got a script in the can I've had for a while that I'm supposedly doing with MGM, which I guess is now Amazon too. But you know, I got a bunch of ideas. I just got ideas, and I feel like I'm just gonna keep trying to execute on them, and you know, I feel like I kind of took a little bit of a step back from acting for a while, just because it's such a like tedious task, you know. Like I don't know if I'm sure you deal with it here too. It's just a lot of like waiting when you're in filming and you're on camera, and so maybe eventually getting back to that too. But right now I'm very inspired musically. I've been just like in the studio a lot and just, you know, working on music and beats and hanging out. I don't know.
And just hanging out,
Whenever
right?
people
I
ask me
think
what's
this, I
next.
mean, well, and I think that's a hard question too,
No,
right? And especially like when you're talking about the pandemic and what's to come and what hasn't, you know, made it to fruition yet. But the pandemic kind of forced you to slow down a little bit. Maybe gave you time that you didn't have before.
Yeah, no, totally. I don't think anybody had that time before. I think everybody, especially people that, you know, live with other people or people that don't live with people, I think you just notice like how many people depend on you, how many relationships that, you know, weren't as close as you realized they were. And just like, yeah, it was a time that I would have never gotten with my kids, save for that happening. And so small, like, you know, silver linings that you find in situations like that. But yeah, if I didn't have the time in the pandemic, I wouldn't have, you know, shot all those virtual concerts and learned so much about filming, but I also wouldn't have had so much time with my kids and just learned to appreciate my family and just the help
Trips
that they
to
even give me
Target.
with my kids. Yeah, all that stuff. Like it was, you know, different, very just like different, you know, something
Yeah.
that we never experienced before.
No, 1,000%. And speaking of music, of course, you've worked with multiple artists. I mean, you're talking Childish Gambino, Kanye West. We can go on and on, right? This will be a 20-minute interview if I keep going on. But who is on that wish list for you that you haven't worked with or that perhaps you want to work with again?
That's a great question. People that I haven't worked with, I'd love to work with Stevie Wonder. You know, I'd love to work with Quincy Jones. Love to work with, I don't even know. There's so many people. I feel like it's a different time, like you were just saying, even with COVID, like, you know, everything gets like, you know, sent back and forth now.
Right.
It's not as much like studio sessions, you know, big collaborative moments as much. But I enjoy working with, you know, with Thug, with Young Thug.
Mm-hmm.
I like working with Vic Mensa.
Yeah.
Love
Big
working
Chicago
with
guy, yeah.
I love working with Taylor Bennett. Love working with, you know, so a lot of artists.
Yeah, so many artists offer different things, I'm sure,
Yeah.
and different experiences as well. We've kind of watched you, you know, grow into this artist that you are now, from 10 Day to Acid Rap to the Big Day, you know, that final album that you put out. So what has changed about Chance the Rapper and what has stayed the same?
What has changed and what has stayed the same? I guess, you know, just time has changed, you know, like I think everybody has a job and everybody's, the capacity in which they work is like, you know, changing constantly. You're trying to, you know, get promoted or promote yourself as a business or whatever it is you're trying to. And when you're an artist or like anything like a forward-facing thing, it's like everyone else sees the changes, you know, or sees what you allow them to see. And I think it's noticeable, just like, you know, I've grown up, I've succeeded in many goals and failed in some, and, you know, had kids and got married, and, you know, I don't know. I've changed. I guess I've started rapping when I was 13. Like I had my first studio sessions when I was 13 years old. So, you know, I've been rapping for more than 10 years. You know what I mean? And I feel like, you know, it's a when you feel like you have a calling. I think that's why there's so many people like Dave Chappelle started comedy when he was 14. You know, like there's people that like, they know who they are from a young age, and they just, you know, it's a blessing to be able to work in it and to be, you know, happy in it.
Yeah, and it's good that you say that. It's a blessing to be able to do the work that you do, because I feel like it's more than just music at times, right? You know, you have Social Works, the charity in Chicago. You put together shows for Chicago public school students. I mean, it goes on and on and on, and that's beyond music.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm still just a person. Like I'm very good at making music, I'm gonna be honest. But,
There you go.
I'm still just, you know, I'm still just a regular person. So I feel like in me having the opportunity to, or having ideas to do certain things, like we just started our Books and Breakfast in Chicago, like when people come to me with ideas, or when I have an idea for, you know, an opportunity or like programming for kids, I feel like I'm supposed to do it. I also grew up in a lot of like,
Right.
you know, after school programs, and had a lot of different mentors, and had a lot of like, you know, just help, you know. So I feel like that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and that, you know, as we know, in Chicago, a lot of kids don't have the opportunity to experience certain things. But one of the last questions before we get into more music, the one thing that you want your fans to remember you by?
One thing that I want my
Or a couple
fans
things.
to- I don't know. That's a good question. I guess just as me, it's impossible. Like you can't like really like control what people think about you. Like legacy is, you know, your children, you know, and
Yeah.
like the state that you leave your family and your friends in. Not even like financially, just like what you imparted on them, like what experiences you had with them. Did they know that you love them? Like those kind of things. And the people on the outside, like whether it's through your business or just like through like, social, it's like that's like, it's important, I guess. I don't know. I want to be remembered as somebody that loved my family and loved, what I do, and loved film and loved my wife,
There you go.
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
It's the things that we shouldn't take for granted.